Hi, I'm back again. Thank you for last time we saw each other in the webinar just before Easter. Yeah, I'm back because I talked with Dorit from the parents organization and Dom from who's head of international department um, about that. You sent us some questions and they might not everybody have been answered in the webinar. So what I'm going to do now is that I will read them out loud and then I will do my best to answer the questions. Um, Three questions: uh, how to handle super active kids and in this situation, and how to provide structure to children with defiant and violent behavior. Um, I'm not quite sure what kind of behavior we're talking about here, or if it is some of your children might have a diagnosis of ADHD. Maybe I'm not quite sure, but what I have been aware of since the webinar is that on the Facebook there is a Facebook site from the ADHD Union where they are giving advices about how to deal with special kids, special active kids, maybe yeah, uh, who has sort of a more aggressive behavior in some situations, and they have made a little what are they calling it? They call it the coping bank. They made a coping bank where you can actually go and find tools to structure the day, how to deal with your children if they are extra active, and so I would recommend you to go and have a look at that side. And I don't know. I mean, this is in Danish, but I think there might be a similar site in English. Of course, I'm not quite sure of that. Then one writes, my concern is about if our children will have some psychological troubles by being isolated, by hearing bad prognosis, to see parents worried. Um, my my child is grieving about wasting time being away from the teacher, the friends, and the school. And how can I see if there's some changed sign about, for example, depression or anxiety? How can I see the first signs? And another one writes, what do we have to pay most attention to according to our children's thrive? And one is writing, I'm just curious, due to the reactions at children after a crisis, is there something that we have to pay special attention to? Um, and to all of that, I can say that uh, if we look at younger children and how they deal with crisis, if they get concerned or if they get affected by the crisis, then you will. The smaller the child is, the more you will see a crying child, the more clinging child. You will see a child who wants to be around you, be very close to you, um, and not having its independency and way to act like, I mean, they normal would. And the older the children are, you will see more withdrawing behavior, where they might kind of put boundaries up to you. Maybe they're a little bit more aggressive in the way of reaching out. Uh, Maybe they're a little bit more aggressive in the way of setting boundaries. Um, so I mean, this is the normal ways. And again, as I just said on the webinar, the tool here is actually to talk with your children about what you see. So you kind of say, oh, I can see that you look sad today, or you look like you want to be close to me today. How is it? How are you? What would you like us to do? That's with the small children. And with the elder children, you would say, hey, I can see it seems like something is wrong. I can see that you put boundaries for me, and it seems like you are withdrawing a bit. Is there something that we should talk about? How are you about all this? And is there anything you want to talk about? So you kind of invite them, and you invite them maybe by telling, again, as I told on the webinar, a little bit about how you're doing yourself, what your own concerns are, just in that amount that your child can actually cope with it. Because another one here writes, can your child see that you're crying and that you're afraid? And I will say, of course, children can see. I mean, of course, it's okay if a child see that parents can be having emotions and being afraid too, but it's not that. I mean, it's better if they see it and they see that you cope with it again. I mean, you can have just a moment where you're, oh, this is so difficult or whatever you say, and then, but see, now I will let's do this, and we will do that, and I'm happy we're here together. And they need actually to see that you cope with the situation, because you are their strength, you are their um, you are the structure and the way that they learn how to deal with the world. So um, I hope it's understandable that, of course, children can see their parents cry and being sad, but not to totally collapse into it. That would not be healthy. Um, and then there's this question: how do you get your teenager to understand that it's not okay to see the girl or the boyfriend? And now time has passed, also since we were here together last time, and some of the children are already in school. The small the younger classes, they are in the school and they are beginning to see each other and play with each other. The older children are still at home, and but I think that if you can have an agreement with your teenager where you can actually talk about why it's necessary to keep distance, then it might be okay for them to meet some of their friends, but keeping the distance. Maybe sit on a bench in each end, or taking a walk, talking, but not hugging, not kissing. And if you think that you actually can rely on your child, I think then it might be a possibility that they begin to actually have a social life, not only on the screen but also out in the real life. And if you don't think it's possible with your child, I mean, then again, you have to explain that this is what the government says and the prime minister, and that we have to do what is said from from that. Um, and then somebody says, how do you cope with a situation where there's more siblings? I mean, you have more than one child, and where one is having extra needs according to another child, and the other child that doesn't have these extra needs actually feel a little bit left left out. Um, I don't know if we were around it at the webinar, but what I think is that it's important that, of course, I mean, if you have a child with extra needs, you have to do your best to take care of that. Um, but I mean, everybody needs to be seen and heard and understood. So, of course, there must be some time for the child that doesn't have the extra needs. Um, if you're alone with two or more children, I mean, then of course it can be difficult. But if you are two parents, or if you are two grown-ups in the household, then you should kind of divide yourself and take care of uh, children with their needs I mean, just some of the time maybe. Um, how to deal with the ninth grade students who's not only have their final school exams, who will not only not have their final school exams, but also are not having all the traditional things that usually is going on at this time of year. And we don't, of course, we don't know, but it might be like this, that all of the children will get back to school before summer. And I hope that you, maybe as parents, can create a parents you can do something together. You can maybe network with your children and see if you can find something special that can celebrate the the children that is leaving the school after summer. We know that the teachers are very busy right now figuring all this out, so maybe you could actually help them to figure something out that could be done in a safe way, in the way that we have to do with distance, but still a celebration where you can maybe you can, I mean, yeah, also make it like this is a special celebration because this will never happen again. It never happened before. It will never happen again. So I don't know. Yeah, you might see if it's possible for you to do something, and if it's not possible, I mean, then you might, when everything is over, maybe agree with your children and the other parents that you should join the students and this join the children and make a special celebration, which will be different. We know that. Mm. And again, talk with your child about the grief that they may have. In order to that. Then somebody asked, what are the conversation starters that you can suggest to open up opportunities for kids to share what they are feeling without planting the idea in their minds that they should be scared or worried at the moment, especially if they aren't. And yeah, this is I think this is a good question. Um, Again, I think as I said at the webinar, I think it's a good idea if you, I mean, if you have a family meeting and you always talking about how do we do, each of us, how are we doing, how are you doing, what do you think today, how is it for you that to think that you might get back to school or you are going back to school, or how do you feel about having this time together? How has it been for you? Is this something you're going to miss, or is it something that was special around this, or is it something that you really won't miss when the time is over? So you kind of just open up to, I mean, post questions about, I mean, all situations here, not only questions that are focused on how difficult this is, but also questions that are focused on, has this been nice for all of us? How can we, how is there something that we really want to keep on doing after corona virus is kind of balanced? And of course, you can always start by saying something about what you think yourself, what you feel yourself, and again to level it in a way that your children can cope with it. So younger children need more simple languaging, older children can take a little bit more complex languaging, but I mean still not too much. I hope this is clear enough. And then who is it best to send our children to if we as parents we run out of words? And I think there's a lot of children's TV right now that is actually talking about how to deal with this. And I mean, again, as I said early on, reach out for family, friends, and if you need it, then you should also reach out for professionals. I mean, because there might be something in your family that is special where you need a special advice, and what I can do here is only to say some general things. I mean, so there might be something that you actually need to discuss or reflect with a professional where you can um, having advices or adjust the situation just to your own family and your own situation. um, and I mean, as you know, there's a lot of speculation or concerning about how will this actually affect all of us, and especially how will it affect the children when this is over. Will we see more anxiety? Will we see more compulsive disordered behavior? um, and uh, we don't know, but what we know is that the way we can support our children in being in all this is to talk about that this is a special situation. It's a special situation where you have to wash your hands and you have to oh, I don't know what it's called, use the alcohol thing. Um, and this is very special. This is not normal. When we get back to normal, you don't have to concern yourself about all this, because then things will be just as before. It's safe enough. You don't have to discuss so much with your children that, okay, I mean, that there's always, I mean, we know that as grown-ups, there will always be a risk that we can be infected by something when we touch things that other people touch, but you don't have to um, to fold that reflection that much out with your children. I think you actually need to make the world more secure, as secure as you think you can do it with your own, I mean, with your own way of thinking. Um, so that's a way actually to prevent a bit of the anxiety that we uh, can be a little bit worried might come after this. Um, and then there's somebody who asks, why do children and grown-ups get more tired these days? And I mean, there can be several reasons, and one reason could be because, I mean, all our routines are not functioning these days. We have to rethink everything we do. We have to think about how, I mean, when we go and buy food, I mean, we have to think about who is going, how much do we need this time, because we cannot go all the time and we cannot go together, so we can have more minds remembering what we're going to buy. And you have to take care about what you touch, and if you touch something, not to touch your nose or your eye or your mouth or whatever. So I mean, we use our minds, and I mean, you are at home, you're figuring out how to be at home, figuring out how can we do this in a way where we can be here. All of us can be here in a way where we can actually stay as happy as possible. And I mean, this is a new way, and every time we use our brain in a new way, every time we are not dealing with our normal routines, then we will get more tired. So, I mean, this is one reason. Another reason can be just, I mean, I don't know what you experience. My experience is that time is slower right now. These days, it's like everything has slowed down, and I mean, when things slow down, you can pay more attention to how you're doing, what you feel, and maybe you just discover the tiredness more than you used to do because you pay more attention to yourself. I don't know. And how can we prepare ourselves to get back to school and work? Um, and again, what you can do as parents is that you can teach your children how to cooperate with the adults in these days. Uh, we should not expect the children to remember all the precautions. Uh, we should talk with our children about how they have to listen to the adults and how they have to do what the adult says. So if they say now it's time to go and wash your hands, they should do that. And if they say, hey, you cannot hug, then they should not, then they must understand that they cannot hug. You can play together, but you have to play together with only 3 or 4 other children. I mean, then they have to understand that. And then when they get home from school, you must talk with them about how was your day, how was it, what was difficult, what was fun, what was different, what did you like, what did you not like. Again, you don't only focus on what was difficult and hard, you also focus on what was fun, what was different in a fun way. And so you, I mean, this is the way you can help the teachers to get through the day in a good way. If you teach your children that they have to do what the adult says, for example, wash their hands and stay apart or not too close to their friends. I think it's about that. I don't think there is any other questions here. Yeah. I hope that this just pointed out what maybe wasn't said in the webinar. And again, if you need it, you are welcome to contact me. I think you have my contact information in the material that was sent it to you from the webinar. And I hope you're doing good out there. I hope that you find your way to deal with this, and I hope that we will soon be out in the normal world in a different way that we used to be. So thank you for now, and take care.